Today, you're going to learn a 4-letter word. Now, not the kind you think, but this 4-letter word can have a powerful influence on how you show up and impact others. With a show of your hands, how many of you are an only child in your family? Okay, how about 1 or 2? How about 5? I came from a family of 9. 9 siblings in 16 years. It was noisy, it was crowded, and it was chaotic. It was like a baseball team that didn't have any clearly defined roles or responsibilities. What were my parents thinking? And we weren't even Catholic. As part of those 9, there are all kinds of shapes, sizes, and personalities. Gender differences, age differences, ability differences. Male versus female, teenagers versus kids, athletic or academic or not. But there were a lot of attitudes about those differences. As part of the younger 3, we were told to be seen and not heard. I grew up feeling unimportant, insignificant, and what I had to say didn't matter. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have a choice. Let's equate my story, though, to the workplace. How many of you have been the youngest, the newest, or the least experienced on a team of people? Yeah, how's it feel? Or maybe you're dismissed because of your age, your experience or lack thereof, or maybe called names and not by choice. As the 3 little kids, we experienced all of this. Talking and communicating. They sound synonymous, right? But actually, they're quite different. Talking is telling the verbal content of what you or I want to say. Communicating, though, goes far beyond that. It includes awareness of emotions. You recognize the impact you have on others, and you also have the ability to read the nonverbal cues. Did you know that 55% of how we communicate face-to-face is through our body language? 38% is how we sound, tone, volume, inflection. Says a lot about our attitude. And only 7% are the words. But the words are incredibly powerful, both negative and positive. It says a lot about where we're coming from. As Albert Morabian, body language researcher, says, it's a 7% rule. Choose your words wisely. As we think about these words and what's going on, we draw upon Stephen Covey's work. The biggest communication problem is that we don't listen to understand. We listen to reply. With those 2 words, listen and silent. What do you notice about those 2 words? They're exactly the same letters. So to listen, you have to be silent. Not just what's coming out of your mouth, but also what's going on in your head. And not everything that jumps in your head has to come out of your mouth. So how do we redirect those negative encounters and shift confrontations into conversations? Let's take a look at the 360-degree perspective. My fingertip represents some issue, some topic, some conflict that we might be experiencing. With my other hand, I'm going to draw a horizontal circle around my fingertip. Now, a circle consists of how many degrees? Oh, I'm glad you knew that one. 360. So for every degree on my circle, it actually represents a different perspective of my fingertip. And how we see my fingertip could be a result of our experience, our age, our education, our family story. Now, that's step number 1, perspective taking. Step number 2 is what we call Stephen Covey's 5th habit of highly effective people. Seek first to understand before you seek to be understood. And what that looks like then is that, if we're on this perspective taking, recognizing we don't know everything we see, then reach out. had the courage, engage a conversation. Help me understand. How do you see it? Now we start having a conversation and go beyond talking. We're listening to what the other person has to say. Remember I said you were going to learn a 4-letter word? Here. Conflict management expert from Harvard, Julia Minson, coined the phrase conversational reciprocity to reflect that exchange of what goes on between two people. And then she used HERE as an acronym to help us remember how to manage that conversation. HERE. H. Hedge your opinion no matter how right you think you are. Guess what? There's always another perspective. E. Emphasize your areas of commonality and connection. And then empathize when you do have differences. They see it a different way. A. Acknowledge that differing perspectives will and do exist. But note, acknowledging is not the same as accepting or agreeing. R. Reframe the negative to the positive and avoid those judgment-laden words that have such a powerful impact and blow. Growing up as I did as part of the 9, I developed really good observational skills and listening skills. And I saw how damaging, hurtful, demeaning words could have on people's self-esteem, self-confidence, and certainly fostered bruised relationships. The jabs, the digs, the name-calling, all fostered a toxic environment where people felt they were tiptoeing around each other, walking on eggshells, fearful of the consequences of what they might say or do and be criticized for it. That kind of environment can foster toxicity, where people feel uncomfortable, people are unhappy, people are unsure of themselves, and those kinds of experiences can have long-lasting effects. How do we redirect that? Again, go back to the 360-degree perspective. Seek first to understand before you seek to be understood. There are 3 things I've learned about people throughout my life. Number 1, people tend to react to what's being said and what they hear before they even make sense of what they're listening to. Number 2, people tend to feel that they're personally attacked and in turn redirect that back rather than saying, where's this other person coming from? Maybe something's going on for them. Or is there some kernel of truth in what they have to say? And 3, people tend to get defensive about their actions and their words, and in turn, redirect the attack right back to the other person, retaliation. We all have a choice in how we show up. I made a choice to have a different voice. Do you have a choice? Yes. Do you have a voice? Yes, you do. And how you use that voice, choosing to use that voice, makes all the difference in the world. You have opportunities. Seize them, embrace them, and live with them. So, I suggest to you, let's embrace the 3 C's: courage, compassion, and concern. Let's go beyond talking and really start communicating.